All right, good afternoon. This is Coach Big Pete, aka Peter Lineweber of DeepDishFootball.com and the Wing Report. Make sure you follow Coach Big Pete and Deep Dish Football on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you have any questions, you can email me, CoachBigPeteFP@gmail.com. Also, please follow Coach Big Pete and Deep Dish Football. Also, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. It means a lot. So, gonna do the hot and warm list. Now, I was supposed to do this in December, but there was just so much news, especially with some recruits decommitting, other recruits committing, coaches being fired, coaches being let go. It's changed a little bit, is the scene, because if I would have been talking about Eastern Illinois in December, I wouldn't have been talking about that much. So, since this is February 14th, happy Valentine's Day, by the way. Let's go into some schools. Going to my hot and warm list. This is the second volume that I did. You'll see some schools that disappeared. There's Wisconsin's not on the list, but Wisconsin again. They got a big name out of Stevenson. Mama, the linebacker, who's just a hell of a player. And they're going to get more players this year. And Wisconsin always will recruit big in the state of Illinois, especially with a strong alumni presence in the Chicagoland area. So hats off to University of Wisconsin. So let's get started. First, talking about SIU football. Sort of new scene around with SIU football. They've been hot. They've been going after, especially the Southern Illinois region, the Central Illinois region. They've gotten a lot of recruits. Class of 2019 has changed a little bit, especially with some of a new target going down to the southern states of the United States of America. But again, SIU football always looks good. You got a Duquesne alumni in Nick Hill, the head coach. Coach Olson, he does a wonderful job at SIU. SIU football is always going to be on a hot list, no matter what. And again, like I said, Nick Hill's going to be another head coach that you're going to be talking about. He'll go move on to a bigger program because he's that good. Next, Indiana State. I talk about Kurt Mellery. I talk about their coaching staff, Funk, Deion Broomfield. All those coaches, he has done a wonderful job. He's put together a great staff. They almost made the playoffs last season. He was named coach of the year for the conference. Kurt Mellery has done an unbelievable job for Indiana State. Has gone after those overshadowed Chicagoland kids and some Central Illinois kids too. Indiana State doing a wonderful job on the hot list. Minnesota, what can you say? PJ Fleck, head coach, a very social media conscience, is very good at marketing his team. Another coach, Callahan, who does a wonderful job recruiting the Chicagoland area, deserves a lot of respect. Minnesota, again, they got a big name out of St. Charles North and Tyler Nubin. I talked about him before. They're going to get some more recruits next year and the year after that. I think the big thing for them is class of 2021. Can they score that big quarterback from the state of Illinois? That's going to be a big thing for Minnesota. Next one, we have NIU. Of course, Rod Carey has moved to Temple. Sort of surprised by that. Hammock takes over, former NIU running back with the Baltimore Ravens coaching staff last season. Taking over, and he's doing the right things. He's hiring coaches from that know the area, especially out in the Dakotas. Again, Hammock is a wonderful coach. I think he's gonna start where Rod Carey left off. I don't think they miss a beat, and I think again that's a great. You can basically say that's a great thing from that athletic director of hiring Hammock again. Getting a lineage from the NIU staff and that NUI family tree into it. Hammock fits the mold for NIU. He will definitely be a big name coach later on as we talk about. Now, Iowa State, Matt Campbell has done a wonderful job. You always see that team in the spring and the summer. Very marketable, very present with the high school football coaches. They kill it. They go after everyone. Iowa State, Coach Golash, Coach Shieldhouse, former Illinois quarterback. He's going to be sort of a big name. Very attractable to young recruits because he's a young man himself. And again, Iowa State has a pretty young staff too as well. Eli Rashid, the defensive line coach, is another guy coach to keep an eye out for as well. Very interesting. Next, Western Illinois. I'm trying to check my notes what I threw about Western Illinois. Sorry about that. Western Illinois coach Elliott, he's done a wonderful job. After his first season, he's done what he's gone to all of the functions, part recruiting functions, has made himself visible this in the summer, has done a wonderful job. Tyler Stockton, they just got a great group of young coaches. Again, attractable to recruits. When you have a young, enthusiastic group of coaches, Western Illinois got it, definitely a key. Next, we go down to University of Iowa, to Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa is Iowa. Ferentz is Ferentz. Simple as that. That's the rule. Again, you're talking about that Iowa tree, that Iowa pipeline in the state of Illinois. They scout, they recruit, they do their best job, and not only that, they pay attention to the small schools, and that's key. And I think what Iowa does is very smart. They're going to get 2 athletes from small schools again for next season, so definitely Iowa is on the hot list as always. Northwestern, Pat Fitzgerald, as soon as he gets the 3 top student athletes from the state of Illinois, or 2 or 1, he always wins. And that is what Pat Fitzgerald's main thing is, getting the players that fit that Northwestern program, and Pat Fitzgerald does a wonderful job, and he's going to continue now. Adam Cushing is now left to Eastern Illinois, but he brought in a bunch of coaches that know the Chicagoland area. He brought in the former Arkansas offensive line coach Anderson, who I have a tremendous respect for, and he's from, I think, he's up from the Northern Burbs, and again, great addition. Northwestern is going to be Northwestern. Pat Fitzgerald is not going to miss a beat with Cushing leaving, Bauer leaving, but again, Northwestern's good. Now, Warren. I'd put them on fire right now because they're warm, but I'm still going to put them on fire because they should all be arrested, those coaches. The Eastern Illinois coaching staff, what they have done these past weeks, going high school to high school, going to recruit, finding their recruits for the class of 2019, their ability to make the offers, their ability to get their name out there. They have done it. Eastern Illinois is just a complete monster right now. If I put them on Warren because they're climbing up the ladder. If I could, I'd put them on fire because literally they're making a name for themselves. I've talked to a few high school coaches. They're impressed when they met the coaching staff, especially with head coach Cushing, a Chicago native, Chicago boy. So again, Eastern Illinois on the warm seat. South Dakota State University, the Jackrabbits. Jackrabbits did a wonderful job. They got Diamond Evans, West Terrell from St. Charles North. I'm forgetting one more that they got. I think Michael Love they got too. They got an excellent class out of the state of Illinois for 2019. South Dakota State killed it. They made themselves visible again in the summer camps. South Dakota State was one of them. And again, online presence is key for a college program, especially to recruit these players. And South Dakota State does one of it. If I were to point to a few schools, I'd say South Dakota State. Those smaller those FCS schools, I'd say take a look at what South Dakota State U does and the Jackrabbits do. But you always see the blue and gold on the social media, and it's a great attraction factor for the recruits. And when you talk with recruits and you ask, okay, what schools pique your interest and all this other stuff, and one of the key comments that I always get is, what schools to do with the Jackrabbit or the school with the blue and gold? And I say South Dakota State University, and they're like, yeah. So again, South Dakota State University does a wonderful job. But again, like I said, the school before, Eastern Illinois, they're going to be rising up, and Eastern Illinois is going to return to prominence. They're going back to the old Coach Spoo way, the Spoo pipelines, simple as that. All right, let's go down to, all right, Purdue University. They're warming up again. Good coach, great coaching staff. Coach B, I hope I don't mispronounce. I'm forgetting his last name. Coach, I'm going to call him just Coach B. From Purdue is doing a wonderful job. I'm forgetting Jackson. Just their defensive line coach Johnson, who's another good defensive line coach, very sharp defensive line coach. He is doing a wonderful job of recruiting. But those Purdue coaches, they are doing a wonderful job. They got Saunders from IC. They got another kid too. Purdue is looking good. Another strong Big Ten team recruiting in that Chicagoland area. Again, Purdue has always had a pipeline in the Chicagoland area, and they have a strong alumni base in the Chicagoland area, which is key. Valparaiso, coach just left the Bucknell, the head coach of but Valparaiso, unbelievable job recruiting. They got a great group of recruits. Very, very impressed with the group of recruits. Illinois, what more can you say about Lovie Smith? He's got more hands-on. He's the defensive coordinator now for the University of Illinois. Luke Bucket Sleeves for the Green Bay Packers is their offensive assistant line coach. But University of Illinois, in my mind right now, is making a good name for themselves. They're not taking any chances. They're being really safe, and they've piqued recruits' interest. And I think that's also what you can also say about what Lovie Smith has done for the program and the type of kids that he wants for his program. He's not willing to take any risk. And again, you got to have the grades to get into the University of Illinois. Simple as that. Done. Next one, Michigan State, and I did have Wisconsin. I do apologize to talk about that. Michigan State. Michigan State has done a great job. Defensive tackle coach Ron Burden, Coach D'Antonio. What they've done a good job. They've gotten the great recruits. They've gotten the big boy recruits, offensive and defensive line as usual. I really do think that the biggest recruit that they got was Peyton Thorne, because I think Peyton Thorne can be that type of quarterback, not after the first year, but he can be that type of Michigan State quarterback that D'Antonio wants. And I think, again, defensive line strong, offensive line strong. They will make a presence. Ron Burden always has a strong presence in the Chicagoland area, a no BS type of guy. And they lost out on some recruits, but we'll see what happens. They won more than they lost, trust me. And Michigan State is definitely one of those teams. So keep an eye out for 2019 and see if they get any players from 2021. See if they can score a big name Illinois quarterback from 2021. All right, Central Michigan newcomers to watch. McMarlin, I'm forgetting his name. Former Florida coach is taking over at Central Michigan. We'll see what he does in Illinois. They've always had a strong presence. Look at Nebraska, what Scott Frost, first-year head coach, has done. He's another team to look at as well. He's done a good job his first season at Nebraska. They're starting to get into the Chicagoland area, and they've always had a pipeline in the Chicagoland area, Nebraska. Kansas is another one. They hired the North Dakota State head coach. Kansas hired Les Miles. I apologize for that. Les Miles. Kansas State hired the North Dakota State coach. Again, Kansas and Kansas State. Kansas is trying and probably will succeed at making a strong presence in the Chicagoland area for football recruiting. Kansas State, again, with the links towards the past and the links towards the Chicagoland area through when he was with North Dakota State. Do not be surprised if Kansas State, again, goes after some big-name Illinois recruits. I know they've made 2 offers, and especially with Kansas State, made another 2 offers. Kansas, I believe their offer is still good with Antioch star wide receiver, the Greek Rifles brother from Antioch. So, again, looking good so far. Another one, University of Indiana, Coach Allen. They're just doing a wonderful job. Last year, class of 2018, they had a remarkable class. TJ Ivy, McCabe, Borson. Again, Indiana's presence in the state of Illinois is remarkable. Toledo does a wonderful job. Toledo's definitely a school to talk about as well. Toledo, they make a very strong presence in the Chicagoland area. You got a former Chicago kid, wide receivers coach Bellamy, who does a wonderful job of recruiting. Hatlett at offensive line. Their tight ends coach, he's going to kill me. Great guy, does a wonderful job as well. Miami of Ohio is another school. They have a huge presence in the state of Illinois. Also, you can talk about the University of Ohio. They do a wonderful job too. In the warm section too, I would also put in this Illinois State. I think they're going more back to their Illinois roots, and I think Illinois State's going to make a lot more offers. They've scored big in the Northern Burbs with a few wide receivers Illinois State has. And Illinois State does have a strong history in those Northern Burbs, especially with the Mid-Suburban League and the Central Suburban League, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully that's not the wrong name. I probably did say the wrong name. But they have done a wonderful job as well. Eastern Michigan, Again, they're still making strides. Florida Atlantic has made a bunch of offers. Tulane made a bunch of offers too. Silver, Mississippi, again, made a bunch of offers to the Chicagoland kids, especially out in the Chicago area. We will see what comes out. See what comes out of that one. I think, especially for the small schools. When I talk about the small schools, Drake for FCS, Drake, Butler, Dayton, three schools. They always, at the end of the fall, they always make the offers. They get the key kids. They get the kids that have been overshadowed by the larger programs, and especially the Illinois State programs. And Drake and Butler and Dayton, they do a wonderful job. Like I said, and I said this before, Valparaiso, they scored tremendous players as well. University of Indianapolis, 2A, they've done a wonderful job. They stole a bunch of players. North Central had a great 2019 season. University of Wisconsin, Platteville, and La Crosse, they always have a good season. They have had a great presence, social media wise, in that. St. Ambrose, great year this year too. They made a name for themselves. Carthage College, huge name for themselves, and some big offers into some underrated kids as I talk about. South Dakota, I forgot to talk about South Dakota. Now, South Dakota, to me, they killed it in the spring. They made a strong presence. You saw them. I saw them at a showcase. Very impressed with the coaches. I think a lot of kids are interested in South Dakota. It's definitely something to keep an eye out for next season in South Dakota. North Dakota State, they made key offers too. North Dakota State, new head coach, but coaching staff that knows from the area, especially from Northern Iowa. One of the coaches from Northern Iowa, he's now he's over there too. Again, North Dakota State will always be good, good coaching staff, solid coaching staff, and will always recruit the Chicagoland area. As always, they do a wonderful job. Make sure I don't forget anything else. I talked about North Central. Kansas State, like I said, two teams to really keep a very good close eye out for as well. University of Ohio, the Ohio Bobcats, they're starting to make some more offers too as well. Definitely a school to keep an eye out for as they in the Illinois area. McKendree, they had a pretty good program. They had some pretty good recruits. Olivet Nazarene, College of DuPage, oh my. College of DuPage has got a good class in it. Actually, it's not bad when you're only JUCO in the Midwest and you're one of the top JUCO programs in the country. Watch out for College of DuPage. They're doing a wonderful job. Coach Cipriani, hopefully I didn't mispronounce the last name, Ran, all those coaches, they do a wonderful job. But yeah, College of DuPage is definitely one of the more powerful teams on that JUCO level. And Olivet Nazarene, as I said before, Olivet Nazarene gets a great group of kids, especially from that central Illinois area. And they're going to have a good team coming up next year as well. Let's see, anything else? Talked about Illinois State, talked about Eastern, talked about Western, talked about SIU, talked about Northern, talked about Illinois, talked about Northwestern, St. Xavier. I forgot about St. Xavier. St. Xavier in Chicago did an interesting job in recruiting, got some nice recruits, especially out of the southern burbs. We'll see what comes of that. But again, St. Xavier, they're a winning program, and you can see why with the kids that they pulled. But I gotta say, Wisconsin Platteville, Wisconsin La Crosse, St. Ambrose, again, social media presence, small schools, they get the social media presence. South Dakota State, great social media presence. Eastern Illinois, they're starting to pick it up. University of Illinois, the Liddyville thing was a genius. Indiana, Purdue, wonderful. Northwestern, they always do a good job. Minnesota, like I said, he's the best. Fleck, what he does with social media is unbelievable. I forgot one more school, Western Michigan, of course. Coach Esposito, what he does, and head coach Tim Lester. But what Esposito does in the Chicagoland area is quite remarkable. And they're pulling some good recruits. They got some very underrated recruits that are playing for them now. Jalen Reed had a wonderful season so far for Western Michigan. Definitely a school to keep a very good close eye on is definitely Western Michigan. So that is about it. Make sure you follow Coach Big Pete and Deep Dish Football on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. My email is coachbigpetefp@gmail.com if you have any questions. Again, I apologize if this was a little rushed, but I want to get this article done as fast as I can. And if you like my work, feel free to leave a tip / donation via PayPal or Patreon. Thank you so much and have a lovely day.